you read that?
Uh-uh.
It's
No.
so beautiful. It makes me cry. The second book, where the little boy and his dragon go to an island, and there's this scene where the dragon fears that he's going to drown, and it's the saddest.
Ooh,
So
wow.
sad.
Marsha Riti with us tonight. There she is, looking great. And Marsha, was it did you get any drawing done today at all, or was it just one of those
No,
okay.
no. I had to take care of Maple. Maple's sick.
She still
Yeah,
what
she's sick. I'm taking care of her, and I'm.
Marsha's one of my favorite people and illustrators, and she's right here in Austin, part of our Austin SCBWI community. And look at this little image of Marsha in the kitchen. And do you really, when you're not drawing, do you really enjoy cooking and cleaning? I mean,
Oh, I do.
that's what I
I'm so
thought.
domestic. It's like kind of crazy. Like I'm really, really feminist, but I'm also like I really dig cooking and cleaning.
You like keeping things orderly.
I really like
Well,
it.
in this kitchen of yours, it looks right out of a children's book illustration. It's so cute.
I know,
This
right?
flat cereal. I mean, is this your cereal brand and
That's Duck's favorite.
your website and blog and her about page and her books? She keeps it light, keeps it fun, and you get a real good sense of her style and the different directions she can go in. Let me pull up her. Well, that's not loading quickly enough for me, so I am going to go over to the Amazon page and show you the Critter Club series. Now, this isn't necessarily Marsha's lifelong style, series of chapter books by Callie Barkley, but look with this what this one assignment netted her, this one relationship that she got from her agent.
12 books. I'm not going to be doing the interiors for the following books because the time, like the demand for the work and the time that they give me is just like it's too much for me. Keeping me on doing the covers. I've already done like book 12 is completely done. They're going to be publishing that soon, and then book 13 and 14 I've already finished the covers for. And a fabulous artist, a friend of mine, Tracy Bishop, will be taking over the interiors for those.
Working at these for what, a couple of years now?
3 years now, I think.
3 years now, and a tremendous volume of work and really cute covers. They all look so fresh, and maybe we can get Marsha to talk a little bit about doing a picture book versus a series of books and how she sort of handles her sanity through that kind of a process.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I've only done one picture book, and that was The Picky Little Witch, and that was for a smaller publishing house, Pelican Publishing. And that was, like, what? How many years ago? Like 4 or
3? I was going to, yeah. 3.
The picture book work for that, I would not consider to be, like, standard for how it normally goes with a bigger publishing house. And every publishing house is going to have their own eccentricities.
Mm-hmm.
But that was unusual in the fact that, like, when they gave me a timeline for it, I actually pushed back a little bit. I was like, that's a little too soon. I need a couple more months than that. And it was because they had the manuscript for so long. And they had already set a time for me to turn in final artwork, but then they had the manuscript for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't work on it. And so I had asked for extra time. And I don't know how typical that is for a normal like a larger publishing house. So I definitely did not feel shy about asking for more time. Like, that definitely helps keep your sanity when you can get a little bit of extra time in there. And it's not like, you know, a 1 month turnaround kind of thing. And then the chapter books, there's, like, I definitely learned a lot through the process of doing each individual chapter book. When I got into doing the series, I didn't realize how heavily illustrated each book would be. When I signed that contract, I didn't even know how many illustrations there were per book. And so I went to my local bookstore and I pulled off a bunch of chapter books that would be around the same age range. And I counted up the interiors, and I was assuming that it would be a certain number of interior drawings, which would be around like 42 to 45 drawings. And that's what I was seeing on the bookshelves. And then when my galleys, which are the layout of each page, the page layout, it's like the text plus the little blob areas where they want the illustration. And then there's like a description in there as to what they like, what they would like you to draw. And when I got the galleys, it was actually like 94 illustrations per book.
So 94 per book.
Whoa. Like you got the cover and the back cover, and then you're not even counting the fact that, like, for each book, I shouldn't say for each book. Like the last 3 books were pretty easy to do, but like the first, for quite a few books there, like when I was like getting feedback from my art directors, they were giving me like 2-3 pages of revisions.
Oh, the sanity discussion is very apropos in this.
I mean, this is why I was like, oh, 12 books. I think I'm gonna take a break.
Well, yeah,
it's such a good learning experience though, and it was like really great talking with like especially my art director. Like, you know, even though I have an agent, I really prefer talking to people and not having somebody as like a mediator.
Yeah.
That's not using the word right.
No, it's the right word. A mediator.
A mediator. I love my agent, but you know, I just like talking to the person who I need to talk to and just like cut the fat, get right to the person who I need to talk to, but still be respectful. It's like, you know, I'm not going to get on the phone and like talk to my art director and be like really disrespectful. I would never do that. I just want to, you know, it's so much easier for me to like pick up the phone and go like, I don't understand what you like were writing in this like one sentence when you're like giving me like revisions and stuff. I don't understand this, or like, you know, talking about timeline for things or just stuff like that, you know, in general, or like hashing out problems.
Now, Diane was asking a question, Marsha, about which publisher they're under. The chapter books are under Little Simon, which is an imprint of Simon and Schuster. The other part of the challenge for the chapter book series, Marsha, was that you were working in a style that may not necessarily be your own. It was kind of a scripted style.
Well, I shouldn't say that it's a scripted style. It's that because this chapter book series spanned years, my own personal style changed.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was like, I mean, I literally like started drawing things completely different. Well, I wouldn't say completely different, but different enough around book 8 that my art director was just like, literally like, you have to stay consistent with your style throughout the entire chapter book series, which yes, makes sense. But when it's 12 books and it's like, it takes a couple years to do,
yeah,
it's very, I don't want to say stuff that makes me sound like I'm not appreciative of like having the chapter book series, but there are definitely limitations on it. And one of the big limitations on doing a book series that is like this long in scope is that it can actually limit your style, because they were asking me to just go, you know, hey, hold up.
Yeah.
We don't want you to change. Please stay within this parameter.
We like what you're doing. Well, yeah. And so that showed tremendous professional discipline on your part, because you're a professional illustrator and you've got your BFA from University of Texas, and you just did the distance with them, and that's often required of an illustrator on assignment, and you just did it, and the style, you still kept it looking fresh even though you were working in other directions at that time. So you're a great role model for us. Are you going to show us some of your can you show us some of your work and what you're working on now?
I am evolving my style right now, and that can be such a tremendously scary but really liberating time when you're changing stuff up. Any point in time, when you've got change, it's like so scary. But I I've got a couple of different things that I'm working on because my style is kind of fluid right now. And one of the things that I'm working on are these limited palette pieces with spot color. I love old 70s style illustration where they had to do spot color just because of like limitations with printing. And so that's what I was going for with these two pieces, this piece and then this piece, which not just like are beautiful like visually, but serve a purpose in the story. Like this was sort of like the idea of Wizard of Oz, where you've got that the black and white scenes where Dorothy is back in Kansas, and then it goes to full color when she arrives
Wow.
in the Land of Oz. And so I wanted to have that kind of feeling with these two different styles juxtaposed with each other. And I personally would love to see this as like a whole book. And so that's where these three pieces came. Actually, four pieces came from. And I'm not, it's like, yeah. So, and then there are these two pieces that I created for my art director, Teresa Kitlinski, for a manuscript that she was shopping around. And that's something that a lot of like agents are now doing, where they'll have a manuscript, they want to pair it with an illustrator that they're currently repping to make it a more enticing project for like an art director or an editor to pick up.
Working a bit like a book packager.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And so these two pieces were for a manuscript. And then this next piece, that is the latest piece that I made. And I'm so happy with how like bright and fresh it is. And you'll notice that there's limited line use in it.
Yes.
A lot of it is just like raw watercolor up against paper. And that is not something that I normally do. And it feels both frightening to do, but also liberating to not be hemmed in by line.
Did you stick with the traditional, or did you bring it into digital at the end? Or?
I usually do a mix of both. The background is painted separately from the foreground, and I composited those two pieces in Photoshop. But everything else was done like with traditional media, but I put them together with digital. It's like little tweaks, like fixing, mistakes and stuff with Photoshop, but that's it. These two pieces were just fun pieces because I realized that my work skews a little bit older, and I wanted to do pieces that were just so young because like picture books are skewing so young now, and they want stuff that is just like babies doing stuff. I mean, that's what it feels like to me. And and there are definitely books out there that break that that trend that are currently being produced. But for the most part, if you go to your bookstore and you pull, you go to the like shelf with all the new releases of picture books, if your bookstore has one of those, like my bookstore does, and you'll notice that there is a trend to cater more towards a much younger crowd for picture books. And so that's what I was going for with these two illustrations.
And with the group that was getting picture books before, the slightly older group, are the two chapter books?
And it's not because like they want to, it's because their parents want to.
They want that reading experience.
Yeah, they like, and now that I'm a mom, I'm reading a lot to my baby. And I could definitely see how people would get in that mindset that, oh, you're already reading, why are you still picking up a picture book? Here's a chapter book. But at the same time, it's like there's a lot to be gotten intellectually from picture books for children who are competent readers. Like there's so much visual language, and the vocabulary in picture books is so rich compared to chapter books that are for that age bracket. So there's a lot to be gotten from picture books, even though a lot of parents don't think so. And then these other pieces are just fun, and they're playing around with watercolor, some use of like not using line, and I'm also like playing around with resist. And then here are two like very like
Oh, that's nice.
dynamic pieces that I am look at that puppy.
I like the hand paint kids crayon drawings as if for background imagery. You really use your blog as your promotional piece, don't you, Marsha?
I do. I'm going to be honest with you. Since having Maple, I have not been blogging the way that I need to be blogging. So you'll see this last one. Oh, February.
Oh well, I didn't so much mean writing the post, but I mean that's where you put the work that you really want publishers to see, and you want your agent to refer publishers to. Is that kind of? I mean,
well, actually, my blog I use as it's like, hey, this is some of them are like personality pieces, some are like promotional pieces, some are it's like, hey, I've been playing around with stuff like, oh look, I just drew a cute baby. And like, or pieces where I'm talking about something that interests me. Like there's this PBS series called Long Ago and Far Away, and because it really had a lot of influence over my choice of career later on.
wow.
So it's kind of like a mix of different things. Mm-hmm. My agent has the same portfolio on the agent's website. And my agent is Teresa Kitlinski from Prospect Agency.
And she found you by your blog, via your blog. Yeah. So guys, that's why blogs are important.
Well, and not just blogging, but knowing how to promote yourself. Because like with just a blog, no one's going to find you. It's like having a store. If you have a store in the middle of nowhere and you expect somebody to come to it, no, nobody's going to come to your store. But if you put advertising out to get the word out about your store, yes, people will come to your store then. And the way that I advertise is through social media. I have an active, even though I'm like, I have a baby, I'm still active on Twitter. I'm active on Instagram. And those are the two, especially Twitter. Twitter makes me so happy. It's like one of those places where, it's like I just go there to get inspired because I'm following all these people that inspire me, and they're like posting stuff that, they're doing, that they're working on, like books that they're publishing right now. And it's really cool. And that's how I use social media, is to promote myself, to support my fellow illustrators and friends, and to find inspiration.
There's your Twitter page.
Hello, Twitter. Patricia J. Murphy. She's super fun. I met her at the LA conference. Blythe Russo. She's just amazing. I just love her work. It's really, really great. So, I mean, yeah, I am all about, like, Bob Shea, how fun. So, yeah, I'm all about the Twitter. It's just fun. I love it. And there's a prospect portfolio right there. And you'll see who is Agent's Hid. A lot of these are my friends, and I've friended them through Twitter. Like Tina Kugler, she's awesome. Love her. So there's my portfolio on their website. And she'll refer people to this portfolio, and she will also print it out and send pieces to like editors and art directors. I think that it's personally speaking, I think it's important to continue promoting yourself. Have an agent. You can't just like rest on your laurels and expect to just get book projects. You really do still have to work at it. Yeah, so that's my opinion, and okay. We'll just leave it at that.
Diane had another interesting question early on. Would people ask you to or ask you if you were interested in doing projects while you were working on the Critter Club, and you were feeling, I mean, could you shift gears and take on another assignment, or was that?
That's a good question. I actually was asked by Pelican Publishing to do a second Pinky Little Witch, and it wasn't the shift in style that kept me from doing it. It was actually the time constraints. Those books, like in order to do 12 books, and I think it was 3 years, and for them to be as heavily illustrated and heavily revised as those were, I could not take on another project.
Sure.
I really can't even do that.
Yeah.
So I say no. So difficult. And so it was never even a question of like, oh, I have to shift my style. So I think I'm all done screen sharing.
Okay.
I should share some more because then I can like go to the screen and look at people's work.
Give you some background on Virginia, Marsha. She is doing a children's book. Virginia herself is a harvester of chestnuts.
Oh, wow.
North Country in the Great Lakes and Michigan, and she's been working on a nonfiction picture book for children about chestnuts and the harvesting and the trees.
That's awesome. And I'll just speak a little bit about nonfiction. Nonfiction is getting so much of a boost from core curriculum. Is that what it's called?
Yep. Yep. That's right.
So
it's a big deal now.
It is a really big deal. And I know like Donna Bowman Branton and Carmen Oliver, they've both gotten big book deals, and they're so good at writing nonfiction. And so pursuing nonfiction as an author illustrator is really smart. So I'm just going to say that right away. Good job.
Okay.
I don't think that people should change what they're doing just to do nonfiction because it's really hot right now. But it's so good for people who love doing it, because for the longest time it was just not something that, was hot. People were just like, oh, nonfiction, whatever. But like now people are like really into it.
It's being used in the classroom a whole lot more. Yeah, it's really, really true.
I actually really love the mark making that she has, and I really appreciate the textures that she's getting in here with her drawing medium. I think this might be that it looks just on my screen like it could be charcoal, but it may just be like a really nice dark pencil. But I actually really like the marks that she's getting in here. Cool. It almost makes me think of printmaking in a way, just because it's such a good contrast, and the line quality is so nice. I like that there's difference in, you've got like pieces that show the children, and then there's like this piece right here where it's just like a hand. I would actually like play a little bit more with perspective and gosh, I'm trying to find the right word for it, but like when you pick up a picture book and you flip through the pages, like take note of like whether it's a full body of somebody, or like where there's a full body spread, or where there's like a landscape. I would love to see like a landscape in here somewhere, like to create a sense of setting. Like I feel like 1, 2, 3, the 3, 4, 5. Like, I mean, the 5 images here, they're all similar in how they're composed. It's a character, somewhat centered, and I would love to see more background.
Virginia says it's a heavy dark pencil, and these are sketches where she's just working with a series of, not necessarily to go on the page altogether, but she's sort of working out her little sketches.
Oh, that's cool.
That's a real good tip about including some place setting, establishing shots in there.
And I'm trying to find the right word for it, but if you pull out picture books from, like if you go to the bookstore, if you have like picture books at home, pull them all out and like look at the composition of each picture book through the page turns, and you'll see that there's like a wide variety of different compositions. Because the mark making is so, I really love it. I think that it's raw, but it's also really fresh. It would be great to see what this mark making looks like when you're doing something like a landscape.
Okay.
So I can see like where the chestnuts are made.
Yes.
I'm almost feeling like it's a fall kind of feeling here with leaves, and I would love to see that lushness in more illustrations with background. Like the foreshortening that you're getting in some of these, like this one in particular, that's really great. That is so hard to do.
Left. Okay.
Bottom left. It's very difficult to get. It's hard to foreshorten, and it's difficult to do. So it's really nice to see somebody doing it well. Excellent job. Like all of these illustrations make me, want to know more about what's going on. So that's great, definitely. And I think that your use of reference is like, I feel like you are probably using photos for reference.
Why do you say that?
Because I feel like these two, especially these two pieces, the first two pieces, are highly realized.
Mm-hmm.
And then this piece with the hand doesn't feel like there's reference. Mm-hmm. Like there wasn't a photo taken for that. And I almost like, I'm going to be honest with you, I almost like the piece that has no reference. And I think it's because I see more of the artist's hand in that. Whereas the first two pieces, I can see the hand, but I can also see where the photos, like how the photo is influencing the artist's style.
And the whole composition. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it's like with this, I'm like, oh, I'm really drawn to the line quality. And with these, they're, it's like the character is well developed. The composition is intriguing, but like the line quality, I feel doesn't carry the artist's spirit. It's much more dogmatic to the reference. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. I mean, the hand by itself, it feels like an original composition, where the others feel like, I mean, a couple of those others that you were referring to feel a little dictated by the snapshot.
Yeah, so, yeah. And it's like with these, I mean, with this piece, it's like I can see, like, I mean, it makes me feel like there's influence from Monet, like the Impressionists. It's very impressionistic, and like this lower left-hand one, I'm picking up on the line quality, just because this line quality is just, it feels more immediate and dark, and there's like a real artist attitude in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like this one where I don't know what this character is doing with the chestnuts, but I feel like I get the artist.
Mm-hmm.
These two, and then this one more so than these top two pieces.
Yeah, the darker line image ones feel almost like, maybe like, remember how in art classes we would dip a bamboo stick into ink and make marks with the ink stick, that sort of thing, and so that has a very bold expressionistic quality.
Yeah, definitely. I just love like the texture and the hair. So great. Definitely. I would love to see, I would definitely love to see a wider variety of compositions, but these are awesome. I wonder what these would look like colored up. So is this piece, is this a I wonder what medium this is. This is all digital?
No, work in oil and acrylic, and you're strictly traditional.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
This is all like hand painted?
I think so. David, are we telling her straight?
That's amazing.
Yep. Yeah, he creates these big paintings and exhibits them in his town in Florida, all over restaurants and cafes and offices, and they're paintings.
Well, the craftsmanship is astounding.
He says acrylic. Hmm. Yeah,
Great. Wow. Wow.
yeah. He's all about animals and sea life.
I can tell he's really good at it. I really kind of dig. I love how you've got this very highly realized sea turtle, and then I I don't know what kind of fish these are. Are these angelfish?
They kind of look like it, don't
They
they?
kind of do. They're like some kind of reef fish, and
Yeah.
I like the juxtaposition of the highly realized sea turtle with the um,
Yeah.
more kind of like expressive fish, and
Yeah.
it almost seems like they're like they're I I mean, are they doing like the cleaner fish thing where they're like kind of cleaning him, but they could be like supporting him and like like pulling him up, like it almost looks like they're like pulling him
Yeah.
up, like he's floating because they're like they've got him and they're swimming along with him, which is very sweet. There's like a story here, um, and I don't I don't see this as a children's book illustration, but it's a
And
really
why do you say that?
that's it. I that's a really good question. Let me can I think silently
Yeah.
for a second?
Yeah.
Okay, because that's a I I don't see this as a children's book illustration because while inf- I can imagine a story for it, it doesn't seem like there's an inherent story here. Like there's no inherent narrative.
It
And
looks more like a fine arts painting. Is that?
well, and it's not necessarily the technique at all because you can do, a highly like very realistically illustrated picture book. Like that's totally fine. Like there are many illustrators that will do very realistically illustrated picture books. It's there needs to be more narrative.
Hmm. Okay.
Uh, I need to know. Uh, Maybe it's because the background is like there. Okay, it's not necessarily that the background is flat, but it really does have to do with the narrative. Like there needs to be more narrative and a way that you could change this piece, which, since this is an acrylic painting, I wouldn't change it because it's done. Like this piece is finished. It's beautiful. But if you were to do another piece in the same style, like the way that you could put more narrative into that piece would be through the background. Like right now, the background's very flat. There's nothing going on back there. So, you could, with the new piece, make a background to where something is going on back there. Like, maybe like there's another turtle in the background that looks like he or she swimming towards this turtle.
Put us in the turtle's world.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But it's just narrative for me. It's not style, it's narrative. And I would say go to your bookstore, go to your bookshelf, and pull out picture books and really look at double page spreads, full
Mhm.
double page spreads, and see what's going on in those double page spreads.
Mhm.
And it's like, what kind of narrative, like if you were to see those spreads by themselves without that book, um, could you imagine a story from that image? And And so like this image,
Yes.
like I feel like there is some story there, but it could really be pumped up, you know, background or some other like amazing thing that this illustrator could totally think up on his own. You know, it's like I'm not here to like solve problems for people, because everybody here is a creative person and they know how, you know, to like make their illustrations amazing, because that's what they're doing every single day. And so I like if he's wanting to do these characters like the fish and the turtle as a picture book, or like use this as a portfolio piece, I would say more narrative, definitely more narrative. Stick with the style. I think it's beautiful. Uh, the color palette's awesome. I just love how everything just kind of pops.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, yeah,
Try to layer in a little more of a story or a
yeah,
drama for the kids to kind of grab the kids. Sarah makes a comment, interesting comment. I'm a former teacher and would use books like this in my classroom. Examples of illustrators with a similar style might include John Butler and Thomas Locker. He has an opportunity here to really create a world around this turtle.
yeah.
And interrelationships and all kinds of things, and yeah, particularly in a double page spread. And so, yeah, very good point. Good. Thank you.
Well, great work, David. Oh my goodness, just gorgeous. So good job. Keep at it. Oh,
Yeah.
now, Mark, who is the illustrator who did Flotsam?
Oh, David Weisner?
Is it David Weisner? Oh my goodness.
Is it? I think so. Let
Yeah,
me check for you real fast. Let me check.
because that would be like if David doesn't know about that illustrator, he should definitely look him up.
Okay, let's see if, yeah, David Weisner. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
that would be a really good person to just check out, like how he's using a very realistic style.
Yeah, and this kind of objectivity, like he's almost trying not to have emotion in his. David's doing that with Flotsam. It's spelled Flotsam. His last name is Wiesner.
Oh,
Two-time Caldecott Medal winner.
he did like what is that other book, like Sector 9 or something about the clouds?
Yeah,
Now,
there
that
is
one
that.
has emotion. That one gets like
Yeah, it
that has
does.
all the feels.
And Tuesday, remember Tuesday with the
Yeah.
frogs on the lily pads? That has emotion. But in Flotsam, he kind of steps back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's much more intellectual. It's all about perspective.
yeah,
So
good.
great work.
Okay,
I will move to the next page.
thank you, David.
Thank you. Ah!
Collage technique and digital, and a new student with us.
I think this is super fun. Oh my goodness. I love the layers. Like you can really get in there. Like the scarf in here, the texture, and then the layer over it with the fun print. That's
You
really
really
great.
feel the warmth of it, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. I love the like these textures in here, like the footprints and then the texture on this jacket and texture in the scarf. It looks like she's imported those. So I like the textures that she's pulling in here.
Mhm.
Let's see here. If this is okay, let me start off with like the positive. I think this piece is super fun. I love how so the trees with their trunks. So this trunk color totally corresponds to the color of the barn, and there's a lot of color similarities, which I really appreciate in pieces
Ah,
that are like where the person's taken all the colors and kind of pared them down. And so when you do have like bright pops of color, like the kind of like turquoisey cyan in her cap, or her orangey red hair with her orangey red gloves, like those colors really pop.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
appreciate that a lot, because then you're like, when you look at an illustration, you're like, oh, where's the main character? Right here. That's where the main character is. And it's not like, you know, that's the key to like have an amazing illustration all the time, but it's one of the techniques, it's one of the tools that you can use to create visual hierarchy in an illustration. And it's really fun. Love that. And I love, like, so you've got instant narrative, right? It's like, oh, a bear, where's the bear? And then she's like knocking. She doesn't even want to knock on the door, but she's not really scared. She's just kind of like, you know, I don't know about this. She's reserved, but she's got determination. And I really love girl characters that are like that. It makes me feel like it's another version of Scout from To Kill a Mockingbird, who's my favorite female character ever. So she's got a little bit of Scout in her. And the dog is like, and the squirrel, they're both totally freaked out, but she is still, she's going to figure out if that bear is in there. So I appreciate the narrative. I think that the color palette's really great. I think the composition is really great. For this illustrator, I would definitely start thinking about how this works in a picture book, because this looks like there's a story here, and so I would like to know if this is a single page spread or a double page spread. If it's a double page spread, she needs to know where the gutter is, because this I don't think would work as a double page spread, because you need like what would you say? I would almost say like 2 inches for a gutter. Or is that like a ridiculous?
Yeah. Well, an inch to 2 inches. Yeah. I wouldn't put anything important in there.
Yeah. Yeah. And like this little, like these little marks here that indicate like sound, like tap, tap, tap.
Like something important. It's an important part of the scene.
It's really important to me. It's like, what's going on there? Oh, it's tap, tap, tap. She's tapping on the wall because like she's determined, but she's not going to knock on that door. So I definitely start thinking about whether or not you want to do single page spreads or double page spreads. And I would like to see more. That's what I would say. I would like to see more of these. And I would like this to turn into a story, because there's obviously a narrative here. And it would be fun to see, you know, this like story and like what's up there. You know,
it really does make you want to know the story and get you immediately involved in a story. Well,
yeah, and it's almost like a different take on, you know, Goldilocks and the Three Bears.
It may be. Very good.
It's like
somebody's already tracking mud and wet into the house. Like
that makes me think of gosh, what was that movie? My memory has been terrible. That's what happens when you have babies.
Baby brain.
Your brain.
When you have a 9-month-old,
your body
focus is elsewhere. Your focus is elsewhere.
Fargo. It's making me think of Fargo. It's like
okay. Yes. Yes.
Plus Fargo.
That brave sheriff in the snow. Yeah.
Totally.
Female sheriff. That was
that's funny. I'm going off on tangent.
That's hilarious.
This is a great illustration, and keep it up, Anna. Really fun.
Yeah, really fun.
And these pieces, this one, oh, not this one, this piece, and then there's this piece for a hypochondriac. I am pretty healthy, said the doctor.
These are like covers, or they're almost, they remind me a little bit of like Facebook posters, or you know.
I love this piece, by the way.
This one here.
This could totally be a cover for a Murakami book. This is great. These work really well as book covers. These don't feel like children's book illustrations, and it's not because the style could not be used for a children's book illustration. It's because like these just, the intention behind them doesn't feel like they're meant for children's book illustrations, because they're just so clearly book covers. I would love to see what this David, is this a David again?
No, this is Dan.
Dan. I would love to see what Dan could do with doing something that's specifically made for children's book. Man, this like reads so like 70s illustration, which is,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the 70s are back. They're so hot.
With all that editorial illustration that was so prevalent.
Yes, definitely. I mean,
yeah.
just the face on this makes me feel like, oh, this is so 70s. And I can imagine, tobacco brown, like carpet, shag carpet, and like, earthenware pottery pieces. That's where my head goes with this. And it's I love the limited palette. I love the green with the red. The color use is very sophisticated. These are just not children's book illustrations, but like this, I mean, something like this style could make a really fabulous middle grade or YA style. Like green spots for middle grade or YA.
Yep.
Or a much kind of like edgier picture book that's talking about like complex issues.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, I don't want to get into politics, but, complex issue picture books, like this looks like it would be great for that. It's very specific. Yeah, these are just very communication breakdown, same. These read like fine artwork, to be perfectly honest. Like if this were in a gallery, I would not bat an eye at it.
They're like thought pieces.
They really are. And the texture and the patterns are great, really great.
Okay.
I guess my only critique would be if this person wanted to pursue picture books, to definitely start thinking about creating characters and settings. But if they wanted to continue in the same like vein where it's much more, abstract, then I would definitely be looking at like possibly YA, maybe not even middle grade, but like YA, or going straight to doing book covers for fiction, nonfiction books.
Adult business books. There's,
Like, yeah, seriously, like this looks like it could be a cover for a Murakami book. So these are great. Like I don't want to be like, oh, this is not good. It's like, it's really good. It's not.
It is really, really visually arresting and entertaining and pleasing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, and I love that how, I remember doing this in high school where I would just sit down and like get really obsessive about
doing chainmail, knitting links.
Yeah, and they're just great. Like I would totally buy this and put it on my wall. That's just great. So, Dan, I would say, think about I guess content, is the right word for it. Thinking about your audience, and where you want to go, because you could be doing like editorial, or you could be doing covers for like just like regular adult books, or possibly doing YA. But picture books right now, a art director, if they looked at your work, they'd be like, oh, this is really cool, but I don't know if they can draw a kid. And that is right where a art director is. And art directors are amazing, but I'll tell you what, they are not the most clever people ever. that makes me feel like
That's between us and us.
yes, that is totally.
Well,
Now, my art
they're
director
creating
for
product for a marketplace. You know that they know what
they need to.
they know what the wants are. But yeah,
like whenever I make pieces for my art director, like I literally am just like, I'm gonna finish this as possible. Like, when I'm doing a cover for her, I mock it up, I draw it as perfectly as possible, and then I even color it in Photoshop before I go to watercolor because like she's gonna take that to committee, and then everyone's gonna look at it, all the art directors and editors, and they're going to go, I don't understand what's happening in this piece. If I do not do it perfectly, like they just don't understand it. And so when they're looking for illustrators to work on, like say the edgier picture book that is politically, like inspired,
yeah,
they still do need to see that you can draw kids, you can draw like backgrounds, stuff like that, but within your own style. Like, don't lose your style just because you're like, oh, I'm a picture book illustrator. It's like, no, don't do that. It's like, if you want to do picture books, like specifically this kind of style, like where it's like, it is so specific. I would say like do some uh, pieces, see how you like doing that, and if that's where you want to continue going, like pursue it. If drawing kids is not your thing, don't get into picture books. But if you're cool with it, then like go with it, run with it, and the style that you're currently using, I think could find a place in a picture book. It's going to be much harder, but I'm personally in love with it. I think it's really it's visually arresting. It's very fresh. It's unusual. So yeah.
okay, good feedback.
Oh, Kathy. Okay, so hi all. Uploaded piece of work in progress. Picture book, graphic novel style, vignette. Mm-hmm. Oh. Okay, cool. Let's go check it out.
Yeah.
Oh, this is fun. So what did she say back here about lose the individual? Okay. Just lots of trouble, and more trouble.
Now she must have her.
Oh my goodness, look at that cute character. Why? And look at that teacher. She's so angry. And what is this text above the teacher? What does that say? Her. Okay.
Okay, and there's a big version of the image, and she's saying harumph.
Oh, that's what I thought. Yeah, this is so sweet.
Yeah.
Her characters are super fun too.
Yeah. Let's see what she was concerned they felt too crowded. Kathy.
The page where it's got the different panels. I think that's what she's referring to is this page feeling too crowded. I don't really know if I would say that it feels like it's too crowded. It's because, okay, so here's my thing. This top image, this second image, and this third image are actually all the same size. They're just, the top one's just turned on its side. So, like when you're doing comic book panels, at least the ones that I've seen, like and like the hierarchy in sizes also shows like differences in composition. Like you'll have like a wider spread where you can see the background and a bunch of characters, and then it's like say this one would be a closer up image of a detail or something, and then like the next piece could be another, like, say, larger image, because this piece doesn't take as much, space. And so I think that it's just the hierarchy. And so it feels like, oh, I don't know where to go next. It's
Yeah.
like everything looks, I mean, even though technically, yes, it would be like this one first, this one second, this one third, and that's how your eye is going to go. But
Yeah.
it would really help the eye move between all the pieces if there was more visual hierarchy. And I was just like, I love saying this, like, oh, just pull out a book, but it's like seriously, pull out your favorite like graphic novel or a couple of
Yeah.
graphic novels, or pick up Scott.
Oh, Scott McCloud's.
Thank you, Scott McCloud's book.
Oh, comics book. Yeah, making comics.
That's an awesome book.
Or get a copy of Baby Mouse, which is
Oh
a
my God,
kid's
yeah.
comic book, and see how he keeps things interesting.
Oh, totally.
And yet the pictures are very busy. But I'm also thinking, Marsha, remember Mad Magazine? It's still out there,
Oh,
and it would
totally.
have those little comic book stories that would be very busy, but we would. And this looks a little bit like a comics or comic magazine format, what she's doing in this group, but we would stay with it because there was still so much fun going on in the images.
And
But
and the visual hierarchy is there.
but he would have a hierarchy. Yeah, those guys would have different kinds of hierarchies.
Yeah, yeah. It's like you can put on as much stuff as you want to on a page, and I think that when you get really good at laying out panels and really knowing how to lead the viewer's eye, you can start really pushing the boundaries of how much is too much to put on a page. And yeah, you're so right with like Mad Magazine. I mean, they would like cram, but possibly cram on a page, but you still know where to go.
You're right.
It's like it looked like a lot, but it wasn't like too much. It was never too much. And so yeah, I would definitely, like, I would say it's like your characters are awesome. The contrast that you're getting is really, really good too. And a lot of people aren't good at understanding contrast, but like even in here, like with the I'm going to go to the next page that shows
the big one.
But it's like, even here with the dog, like you could make him just a tiny bit, like a tiniest bit lighter, but like the fact that like I can still read a black dog on a black background, the blackboard, is awesome. It's a testament to you knowing your value really, really well. And the characters are just super fun.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really are, Kathy.
I didn't even notice how funny this is. Look at the flippers on this little girl. Quantum physics. Oh my gosh. Look at this brainiac. This is awesome. So you're including lots of fun details. So these are great. Oops. Let me pull that back up. So it's like if you're feeling like it's just overwhelming, check out Scott McCloud's book, Making Comics, or pick up a comic book, a graphic novel, and like see how they're laying out their
yeah. Yeah, that's great tip.
Yeah, I love babies, as we all know. I have a little one myself. I think, I'm going to be honest, I think I like the pencil sketch better. I am like the biggest nerd about loving sketches over finished pieces. I feel like there's so much more life and immediacy with a pencil line. So like I really, really dig the drawing. The pencil.
It's a beautiful pencil sketch.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that the watercolor is bad, but when you compare the two, I really do prefer the pencil sketch just because it feels much more immediate. I love that you're able to see the nuance in like the little mouth here and the eyes. Like there's a lot of work that you put into rendering these aspects of the baby's face, and you can totally see that in the pencil sketch, and I feel like it's lost in the watercolor. Um,
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out why that is, Marcia. It's almost like with her contrast in the pencil sketch, we have a center of interest. We know right where to look. But those big, bright watercolor elements on the painting, we're sort of, everything is in competition with the
yeah,
face.
yeah. Well, and her hand, she has a very delicate hand with graphite.
Yes, she does.
Um,
Uh-huh.
and watercolor, I feel like it's not as delicate, and that's fine. You know, it's like not having as delicate a hand, but when you compare the two, her like the way that she treats the medium is much more refined with pencil. I feel like this is not a children's book illustration. Um, because it's just a character, and by character I mean it's so specific. I feel like, you know, and it's okay to have like very specific characters in a picture book, but I feel
Hmm.
like I think this is somebody's baby.
It's a portrait.
It's a portrait. It's a portrait, and it's a beautiful
Yeah.
portrait. It's not a illustration for a picture book. And I'm going to go back to narrative. Now, if this either of these two, whether the watercolor or the pencil sketch, but I love the pencil sketch better. Now, if there was context, like if you could see their mom in the background making breakfast and maybe a dog coming up and licking jelly off of the baby's toes or something, that could become a picture book illustration
And
because
a
there's
portfolio
narrative.
piece. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that could be a portfolio piece. But right now it's a portrait, and it's a good portrait, but
Hmm.
it's a portrait. Yeah, just context. You know, it's like, what's going on? What's going on with this baby? Is the baby going to sleep? Is the baby getting breakfast? You know, I'd like to know more.
Kudos to Marsh for doing children and doing babies.
Oh my
That's a
God, that's
subject
so hard.
matter.
Look at she got the cheeks in here.
Oh yeah, she's speaking the language of graphite and pencil in the one, and she's not quite speaking the language of watercolor yet in the other. Of
Oh,
course, it's not finished yet, but
I mean, but you could do a whole book in
with that style, yes,
really
with the
like
black and white and the white chalk, yeah,
this is making me so happy when I look at this. And then like
it's beautiful.
yeah, I mean, I've got a 9-month-old, so it's like when I see these cheeks, I'm like, those are milk cheeks. Those are milk. Make me so happy. She's great with babies. Beautiful baby.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Good.
Look at that kitty cat. I wonder what's going on with these characters. Like this kitty cat, the friendliest eyes and the friendliest smile, and he's like so like he or she is like super laid back. Look at that laid back kitty. And then this mouse, by the way, I love the way that you're painting this mouse. It's very soft.
Oh.
And the mouse is, I think, making a beeline for the food bowl. So it makes me wonder if they're buddies, because I would normally think that the cat would be like hating all over a mouse.
They're adversaries, but yeah,
Yeah, from just this one illustration, I'm getting that they're friends.
I know, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah, they're like best buds, and like this
Yeah.
cat is like, you know, kind of like, hey, mouse, how you doing? And the mouse is
Yeah.
like, nothing much, just gonna get some of your food, and he's like, that's okay, I'm cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I imagine their relationship being kind of like that. So if the intention is that they're adversaries, I would say definitely changing up the expression would be really important. And also, like the mouse feels like the mouse's posture is so like laid back here, so leading me to think that they're best buds. And so I would think that the mouse would just be like, showing more of a scared posture, and like thinking about like not just facial expressions, but like postures. Like the cat, if the cat's like angry, the cat would probably like, I could see how maybe you're trying to get a more of a bristly look, but because I don't have context for this character, I'm not really sure if it's just because like the cat's fluffy or if the cat's bristly, but like an angry cat's tail is not like this. Angry
Okay.
cat's tail is, I mean, we all know what
Yeah.
angry cat's tail
Yeah.
looks like.
Now, that's a really great point. Now, we haven't been privy to the whole story, so this could be a turning point in the story where they suddenly
Our friend,
discover a bond or something. I don't know.
that would be awesome because they
That
just
would be
look
pretty
so
cool. Yeah.
happy. They look
Yeah.
very happy with one another.
Yeah, they do. Very good observation.
This is another nice use of somewhat limited color. Like
Uh-huh.
you have three similar blues, background, eyes, and then the bowl. And then you have gray, gray, and then you have a nice brown grounding, warm, kind of like light brown color, which is
Yeah.
great because it's like these colors, like the grays are and the blues are obviously very cool, and so it's nice to see like this warmth of the like that brown coming in. Um, Let me think. What else could I say about this piece? Uh, I feel like, um, gosh. Now I think I need more context for this piece. Is this going to be used as a portfolio piece, or is this specifically going to be used for a spread in a picture book? I feel like I wish that there is something like something compelling in this illustration, because right now it's just two characters, and there doesn't seem to be something that's like propelling either of the two characters towards like a climax in a story, and it doesn't have to be like something like really drastic at all. It could just be like something really subtle, you know. um
You're saying a little more something happening.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
and that sounds like really, you know, not specific, and I wish that I could be more specific, but it, I feel like as a standalone piece, I need more uh, something more compelling going on in this illustration. The characters are really fun. I feel like the color palette is, pleasing. I
It reads really well.
Yeah, I could definitely see like who these characters are. I just feel like um, there needs to be more narrative, which
Okay.
is crazy sounding because like wow, that's like the theme of the night. Where's your narrative?
Where's your story? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. So great work. Keep it up, and I appreciate the mark making that, like especially in this bowl. That sounds so crazy to me. I'm like, this bowl has really nice marks. The painterliness in this bowl is really fun. The way that she's using her pen tool to get, it's like the mark making fresh. That there are certain areas that start feeling a little bit overworked, like right in here, whereas like this is very like lively and fresh. And what's interesting is that this is the most like non-important thing in the entire
Okay.
illustration.
Yeah, we've been beating up on her for the last few times, and so this
Oh,
reworking is the result of her trying to do the suggestions that she's been hearing. Marge saying this would be a cover. This would be a cover. That's right. What do
oh.
you think of as a cover?
As a cover, you're gonna want to see the
It
face.
says it's digital.
I've done 15 covers now, 14 of which are for the Critter Club, and I will tell you right off the bat, they want to see faces, which is so crazy. Like
Face is
that,
like the mouse's face in this case.
yeah, definitely. Or there has to be a really good reason why we do not see that mouse's face, and right now there is not a good enough reason. Like if the mouse were standing on a hill looking at the sunset, and that was the whole like that was like the whole reason for the story is like it's about the sunset or something, it's like then yeah, you can totally have a character not looking at the at the reader, like all the world
Where the
are
children are looking at the
looking
clouds.
at
Yeah,
the clouds. And
yeah.
that flies because if you read the story, it's all about, the day and the clouds and the rain that happens. And you know, the whole story arc of life and yada, yada, yada. But like for this book cover, I'm going to be honest with you, you know, yeah, characters, you're going to get beat over the head by.
Okay, that's a real interesting point, and I think Mary Sullivan was raising that the last time. It was Mary or Christy Stalb, I can't remember which, but they were saying the same thing about the mouses turned away, and the rest of us were saying, "Oh no, it's okay. She's looking at the cat." So, okay, we've heard that's
earlier, yeah. But for cover, that's not going to work.
I agree with Kathy that this, Marge, your renditions of this image in terms of just readability and solid design and color and painterliness has gotten better with each redo that you've done. So
what's unfortunate is that, like, she's going to lose this mouse. I love this mouse. I'm going to be honest with you. Like the posture,
yeah,
and the way that she's painted this mouse is so soft and sweet. That, like, if she, you know, whatever she does with this image, it's like, you know, she needs to continue doing this mouse exactly the way that she's doing it right here.
Okay.
Yeah, this is awesome. Love that mouse. Okay. Yeah, these are cool.
Yeah, no, these are a story, an African folktale.
Mariama.
Mariama. She's an American, but she's in Africa right now. So there's several. Yeah,
So I don't have a lot of negative things. Actually, I don't have anything negative. These are really fun.
Yeah.
These are just so these are fun. I love this texture. Like, look at this collage that she's got going on back here, and then she's like done like painting over it. It's like there's lots of texture. It's messy, but it's like very painterly. And then she's got these like fun gecko type. And then I love the lipstick on this. And then like this with the fly. Oh my goodness. I think these are great.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a ton of story going on here. Like, it looks like, I wonder is there a turf war going on here, or are they just coming together to hang out?
It looks like some kind of a turf war to me.
And I love the trailing road off into
yeah. Great sense of place in these.
Yes. Yeah. These are the backgrounds on these are just great, and I love how it's like, oh, you get a sense of place, but it's like it's not, you know, rendered to be super realistic at all. It's, you know, within her own style, and it's amazing to look at this and go, oh, that's all you really need to do to get a background.
Yeah, we completely buy the setting. We buy into it.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. There's just this is great, and I love that she has a really great sense of color.
Mariama is not with us tonight because she's 5 hours ahead of us, but she was going to catch the replay, and I'm hard pressed to recall what medium she was using with these.
It looks like
I'm going to look it
all over the place. Like,
yeah, it does look like several things. I'm going to try to find her
here and paint on top of it. And I mean, this has to be like acrylic paint with like maybe, who knows, watercolor and pen, and like, you know, I wonder if she's using some printmaking techniques here too, where she's using a sponge and sponging on color. They're just really rich, like very rich texturally, and the color is the color use is sophisticated. These are like, you know, very unusual colors to see next to one another, like this purple with the green, with the browns. And well, Mariama, keep it up.
Keep it up.
Keep it up. Like, these are awesome.
Oh, she's not in Zimbabwe. She's in Ghana, and she does not mention the medium. So okay.
These are super fun, and the t-shirts. T-shirts on lizards are so hilarious and cute.
Yeah, those lizards have great color sense. They know how to wear the clothes, don't they?
Okay, so these are all these the same No, this.
Yeah. Yes, this is Sarah's work, and Sarah's here to answer your questions.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
Ooh, a lady astronomer
yeah.
who sleeps on her books. I love that. This could really be a whole story right here. Like, I wonder if there's a story with this specific image. Like, this image really speaks to me. The color uses I like a lot. Like yet again, like, you know, seeing this blue in her skirt and the shoes, and
Mm.
then like uh, seeing this red, that burgundy in here, and then the brown. I really like the color use. I would say definitely keep an eye out for contrast, because you have darks in here, but you don't have a lot of lights. You have a lot of darks, midtones, and then there's like white here, and even the white in her sheets isn't white. It's like this kind of like very off-white, grayish brown. And so even though there's darks in here, there's actually not a lot of contrast because of a lack of white. But the color use is really, like, I like the color use quite a bit, and I like the subject matter, um, like a smart older lady looking at the moon, you know, who loves to read.
Yes.
Who doesn't want to read a book about that? I want to read a book about that.
Yeah.
I would love to. I'd actually love to watch a documentary about a lady like that. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
uh, this is so. None of these pieces actually show faces. That is very interesting. I would say. By the way, the sky in this is beautiful. Um, I would say that is uh, like maybe telling. Like, I wonder if you are just not happy with painting faces.
I've got a little note from Sarah, and she says, Mark and Marsha, I'm brand new to this course. Can you tell me, and that might explain why no faces tonight, but then she says, can you tell me, should I be leaving white margins like Mariama did here? Uh, and if so, should they be 2 inches on either side? Um, you know, for purposes of the critiques, it doesn't matter
Oh,
but if you were submitting a piece to a art director, Marsha, what would you say? Wouldn't you say leave some margins on your
I don't. I
painted
you know,
piece?
this would be like all of her pieces would be like bleeds, which
Yeah,
if you even look at my portfolio, actually no, that's not a really good example. That's a terrible example. Uh,
that's a vignette.
if you're doing bleeds, which is what this would technically be like if you were going to get this printed as like, you know, a portfolio piece, it would be a bleed where the printing goes all the way to the edge. I prefer seeing artwork like that. With Mariama's pieces, it was working for her because she has these kind of cool rough edges going on here.
Yeah, she
But
does.
her pieces would work exceptionally well as a bleed as well. Like if she didn't
Yeah,
have,
you could print them as a bleed.
oh, totally. And they look
Yeah.
like, in fact, like with them like this, if she were to like play up the rough edges, that would be even cooler. Like I love a good
Mm-hmm.
rough edge,
Mm-hmm.
just because it shows off material.
The materials, the marks. Well, now, so what would you say, Marcia, if Sarah was turning in an original piece of art to be shot to a publishing house, bleeds in that case? In the you know, it kind of depends on the medium. It used to be real important with watercolor because you didn't want people's hands and fingers touching
Oh, you know what's funny?
watercolor paper.
With my pieces, and I'm sure this is very different for people who are doing picture books, because with picture books they get very particular about the artwork. But I've been scanning my own stuff in and sending them my digital copies for everything. It's called the art director and the designer You know, they
Yeah.
get in there and then they'll look at it and they'll go, okay, well, this works well for this, you know, and then, you know, they'll figure it out. They're really good at figuring things out. I personally prefer seeing pieces without margins in portfolios unless
Okay.
unless you have an edge that's just beautiful. Like there are some pieces that I printed for my physical portfolio that have margins, and it's only because of the way that I treated the edges of the paintings. And it's definitely a very personal take on, you know, it's a personal preference.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's just the way I feel about it. You know, I prefer looking at full bleeds unless there's a real reason for not looking at a full bleed. If you look at picture books, most, not all, but most are going to be full bleeds.
Yeah, and if they have a border or a margin, they're going to have a real specific reason for that margin. They've got something up their sleeve, you know.
Yeah, like maybe they're doing like more panel kind of like layout. You know, like say if you look at any of Peter Brown's work, I think a lot of his pieces, like he actually does his own borders for just because he's Peter Brown. He's cool like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, we're talking a lot about borders. I'm so sorry.
Well, she was asking us, and Sarah says, I'm brand new, so I'm experimenting a lot right now as I learn.
Cool.
And the image of the woman looking at the moon is meant to be part of a picture book story.
This is the one that like speaks the most to me. And I really love like the character that you have here and how you've her characterization specifically. I love how she's a smart older woman, because I don't think that I mean, how many picture books out there are of smart older women?
Yeah, in the sciences. Yeah.
Yes.
Not so many.
And that's sad because
Yeah.
I mean there are smart older women that are in sciences for sure. Sarah, I love the way how Sarah has painted her. This almost looks like she really could be painting with she's working with acrylics, correct?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I love that. You know, it's like it almost looks like gouache, which, you know, is such a fun medium. But acrylic gouache is apparently much easier to paint with. Regular gouache, it's like when you start layering it, it activates it activates the layer underneath.
Yeah.
And
Tricky.
I've actually, yes, it's really tricky. I've tried painting with gouache, and it's really, really hard to paint with. And so a lot of people get around that by using acrylic gouache. And so it's essentially just like using acrylic painting. And you're getting a really cool gouache style by doing these, you know, a very flat.
This opaque, flat. Yeah, it's patches of color. And yet we feel like we know this character, don't we, Marsha?
I totally, you know, like I would really be, you know, trying to paint the background as lovingly as you've painted your character. I feel like the background for these books, and you know, like, well, actually, I mean, just even here, like in the pillow, like I feel like her skirt and her little sweater are just so lovingly painted, and then the hair, and then it's just like the pillow is like, oh, it's just a pillow, whatever, you know.
Okay.
And so it's like I wish that that everything was more lovingly painted, just like this character, because this character is awesome. Like she's really cool. Point. Oh wait, it's acrylic. You can totally get more white in there, which is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
With watercolor, no, you're stuck. You know, you painted out your white. It's too bad. If you have Photoshop. But with this, she could add a little bit more white in there, and I don't even know if like I would add more white with the sheets, but I would definitely like if she has access to Photoshop.
Sarah, do you have access to Photoshop? And Sarah's saying, I will work on it. It was still wet a few hours ago, but I really wanted to submit for critique. But,
that's awesome. Only say no Photoshop because I would use it as a tool to look at your contrast. Now my eye can see it because I've just worked so much in black and white that I'm just off. Like, honestly, I just go, okay, the only white in here really is the moon. And that's kind of not great because you have a lot of mid-tone. And if you have Photoshop, you could just like pull it into Photoshop, flip your color from RGB to grayscale, and then you'll automatically see
The
it,
value pattern.
yeah,
Yeah.
the value. Now, if you don't have Photoshop, that's fine. Put your painting like across the room, and then
Right.
like squint your eyes. And
Yeah.
if it's hard for you to tell what's going on in that image, then you need more contrast, whether it's more
Yeah.
white or more black. Or I don't want to say black. I shouldn't say black. More white or more dark. Because your dark in here is great, but you definitely need more white. And definitely do more of this. This makes me so happy. This is awesome. You know, I want to see way more with this character. It's really, really great. And I actually love the use of perspective. And I don't mean this in a bad way, but it feels like untrained in a
Yeah,
way.
like folk art somehow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because of the perspective, and it really works with
It
the
works for this
material.
for this story.
It,
Yeah, it does seem to.
it's really, really cool, and the color palette for this I like quite a bit. So that's
Great. You like the value pattern in this one, Marsha?
I wish there was more white. Is that well, not white, but like there, I wish there was something a little bit lighter.
Some lighter. Okay. It's coming
But at
across.
the same time, it's like it's a night scene, so it's hard, you know,
Yeah.
because you want something lighter, but you don't want it to be so light that, you know, it's not reading like it's nighttime. And I would almost say, you know, clearly the moon is probably somewhere over here.
Oh,
Um,
because of all the light. Yeah.
yeah, it looks like there's
A stronger light
yeah,
source.
stronger lightness. And so the next time she decides on doing like a night scene like this, I would include the light source, which would be the moon, whether it's like a half moon sliver or like a full moon. Include the light source and include some highlights where there could be highlights. You know, whether it's you know maybe a little bit of lightness more over on this side.
Mm.
You know, and then, you know, a little bit of lightness in her hair, because I bet her hair has some shine to it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. With a direct source like the moon.
yeah, and then like
Um,
understanding where the shadow from the moon would go, but continuing with this like more muted palette. The muted palette definitely reads as nighttime.
yeah.
But there's no like you don't know where your light source is coming from, and even at nighttime,
Yeah.
there's still a light source.
Yeah.
But the colors and the technique used in the night sky, really beautiful.
Yeah.
I would say definitely uh, watch uh, watch out for having your paintings look overworked, because there's some areas in here, like in her jacket, where it doesn't feel fresh, and just really like when you're painting. Um, think about mark making and making marks in a way that doesn't look. I don't know. This is so. I'm not giving the best.
No, you are. You're being clear. Yeah, the mark making is all important in fine art
Yeah,
and in illustration, and it's part of the joy of good illustration. That people notice, and make a dance of it. You
yeah.
don't want the blood, sweat, and tears to show.
And the mark making in the sky is just so. It's really beautiful. It's very
That is very effective. Yeah,
ethereal. And
yeah,
then, but then the jackets get very heavy. And I want to go back to the painting that I love. The hair in here. Now that's awesome. Like when I see this hair, it's like it reads as hair, but it clearly has not been like overworked. It's just like there was just enough mark making in there. And I wonder if it's because she was just like, I got to get this done. I'm going to get it done fast. And like even the little swipes in here with the moon, I really dig that because it's so immediate. And you're going to find with the more you paint, the more intuitive you are with mark making with your paintbrush. And so I would say just paint a lot. You know, don't worry about making that one perfect painting. Paint a lot of paintings and, you know, with the intention that you're gaining uh, knowledge with every single painting. And that's what's important, is the knowledge that you're gaining, not that one perfect painting. Because like little things like this, like her hair being like, it's not overworked at all. It's just, it looks effortless here.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the jackets, like there's obvious effort, but the color use, there's a lot of, really great, thought behind the things that you're doing. I would just say like paint more and keep at it, and definitely like work on some characters with faces.
Great. Well, Sarah says, thanks a million. I have loads to learn, she
You're doing
says.
awesome, Sarah. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I didn't even see these beautiful trees. Oh,
Yeah, the dark trees. Yeah, aren't they lovely?
now
They're
this
so,
looks like there's a sunrise coming on over here. Okay, Sarah, that's genius. Beautiful.
and the characters again, even in this one too, even though we're not seeing their faces, we feel like we know these characters. These feel like real characters in the story.
Yeah,
By the gesture of them somehow.
they're just like,
Okay.
oh, well, good job, Sarah. Keep it
Hey,
up.
Sarah. She's working in collaboration with an author. She says she's a big fan of your work.
Oh, that's really sweet. Oh,
Okay. Oh, and we've got Deb's pieces after Diane's. If you can stay, and if not, we can bounce it to the next time.
okay. So this one is Path of Discovery. Okay, critique composition. Let's see here. Oh my goodness, look at those cute birds. But since we read left to right, is it just me, or does the iFlow stop when it's flipped? Author flipped it and added the mouse. So the first one is, oh, I see. So, yeah, I mean, it's like, I think that what she was like, saying in her text is that the author did this one, like they asked for the mouse versus it being like this way. And yeah, I could definitely see where she's coming from, because yeah, I mean, we all do read from left to right in the Western world. And so yeah, this feels more natural.
Yeah.
And with the composition for this one, the colors on that last one were really great. I love that.
She's asking, is the path's head over the girl distracting?
It is. It is, and it's because it's so vertical at this point, that it feels like it's actually lifting off of the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what you'd want to do to remedy that. Let me see the original one, the painting.
Is it, Diane? Is the path supposed to be lifting off the ground?
I doubt that.
Because that's really is what it looks like.
Yeah.
And yet, I don't think Diane would make a mistake like in foreshortening like that, unless there was something the author was wanting her to. I don't know.
See, I wonder if the path could go more in this direction.
Yeah.
Here, because like it's like, even for a path, it doesn't feel natural for a path to go up,
yeah,
and then down, and then like this.
Right.
Like,
that vertical is just, and it definitely looks stacked over the girl, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And so I wonder if maybe having the path go like more like this. I love how she has the path behind the girl, who's super cute with this long hair. And I would keep that up, because you're really showing gosh, it's what's the right word for this? You know, you can tell that she's in front of the path. Whereas like if you were to draw the path above her and not even have her overlap it, it's almost like it could just be on top of her at that point. You know? And so having her clearly in front of the path creates dimension. It creates depth.
Let's go to the dogs.
Okay. Oh, one quick thing. I would definitely really like amp up your gradation. So like going from darkest all the way to lightest, which you are doing here, but it could really be pumped up.
Yeah, it looks kind of tinted here, doesn't it?
It could be darker here, and that'll also create much more depth when you're looking, you know, towards the background.
Oh, and you're saying, and get lighter as you go back to the background.
Totally. And I love the purple for the mountains, by the way.
It would also set off the girl really well.
Oh, totally.
Really, yeah.
Yeah, this is fun. Okay, and then the dogs.
She's asking, the dogs are in watercolor, but she was asking, is it balanced? Is there enough contrast in the piece on the dogs?
For the piece in general, I feel like there's definitely enough contrast, but I wish that there's a little bit more contrast between the dogs. Like, I mean, it almost looks like these three dogs really could almost merge together. So maybe like where like this dachshund is this a Pyrenees? No, not a Pyrenees.
He's cute.
Yes, he's cute.
Yeah.
Well, between these two dogs,
Pekingese.
A Pekingese. Oh,
that's my guess.
I would like to see like, because the two whites of their, like the whites. Oh man, you're getting some great colors in here, by the way. I feel like where the whites meet for the dogs, because they're all a little bit too similar. I was wondering if maybe you could like just add some highlights where it makes sense, just to amp up the contrast between the white between the dogs. And I think that might help differentiate, you know, like these areas in here where they look a little bit too similar and they're merging just a tiny bit. But like the mark making is so fun. The colors that you're getting in here, like the blues and, you know, just the unusual colors that you're mixing together are great. And the gestures, this is just so amazing. It's so good to see. And then the texture in the grass and how thoughtful you are with, you know, even just like painting these little, it looks like toadstools, and then a little snail here.
Shades of Beatrix Potter almost there.
Yeah, yeah. The mark making that you've got going on here is very gestural and fun. Like, this is like crazy. I love it.
Your author better be pleased with these, Diane. You're really going the extra mile for her here.
Yeah, these are beautiful. So yeah. Awesome.
Good.
Oh my goodness! Look at how sweet this is. Oh my gosh, I love babies. Oh my goodness.
They are beautiful children.
I love this mama and her baby so much. So cute. Oh my goodness. Look at that baby face. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna like kind of go crazy about it.
Yeah, well they are to be gone crazy over. They are so exquisite children.
Sweet. I will say, is this a children's book? Is this an illustration for a children's book or a portfolio? Because these still, like, they need context. They need narrative. They're really cute, but I think that there needs to be more story. They're so sweet. Oh my goodness. Look at how sweet.
Yeah, we're kind of back in that portraiture realm again, which is the parents must be thrilled
Oh yeah, definitely.
But wouldn't these make great characters in a story, though?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. And especially like, I love this baby. Look at that baby. Oh my goodness. Um, yeah, yeah, definitely. I would love to see more story. And your use of pattern is wonderful. More
Mm,
pattern, please. Like the clothing that you're using, like, the pattern of the clothing is just so great. Just really, really fun. Um, I would say in areas where it gets a little bit confusing are like I feel like the way that you're painting is beautiful, and it breaks down a little bit where you have hands, because I can see just barely that there are fingers there,
mm,
but just barely. They almost
okay.
look like little paddle hands if you're not looking at it close enough. And these feet are very delicate and sweet. So I almost think that if you just had a little bit of a stronger hand on drawing these, that would really help. I mean, this foot is just gorgeous. I love that little foot. And it would be better to be able to see those individual toes. I can see them, but it's very faint.
Hmm.
So just like, make that a little bit darker in there. Like the little fingers, just make them a little bit darker, because like even the baby's hands, like I cannot see the baby's fingers. I know that they're there, but I can't really see them. Um, and more story. Keep the patterns, keep the sweet, sweet faces. Look at these sweet faces. I cannot get over these sweet faces. More story. Like make sure that we can clearly see fingers and toes because they're just gorgeous.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all.
Fabulous, fabulous faces,
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this
for
makes me
sure.
so happy. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
it is really a happiness creating picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. So good job.
Rio. Okay. So one more, Marcia, and we'll let you go. My goodness. One
Uh,
more artist, three more pieces. Take them however.
so these three pieces, so where it starts becoming more successful is actually where you go in for the detail.
Mm,
So this is the second deb, right?
yes.
So this piece, I'm going to be honest, it's too heavy-handed. It's too dark. It's too worked for me. There's too much going on. Um, just because the trees are a very strong element, and everything is heavily outlined, which means when you heavily outline everything, it visually has the same importance as what really is important in the story. Um, so I feel like this this piece, even though you put tons of effort into it, it's not as successful as this piece.
Mm,
This piece is very sweet, and it's becoming much more light, and it's not so heavy. Like the only heaviness is like coming in here with the tree, and that's totally fine. When you've just got like one heavy piece, and then you've got a character, and then this like the painterliness that you're having, that moment right here where you chose not to paint fully his pants, and then there's the paint's like, there are breaks in the paint right here and here, and you can see the line work is not fully lined. That's where beauty comes in, and the lightness of the material shines through. And then here it becomes like, I love how these pine needles are not all green. You've got some
mm,
rust red in there. There's a little bit of black, and then there's this interesting green. Um, I think that like I love these pine needles so much, and then the pine cone. Yeah, I
mhm.
feel like these two pieces are much more successful than the piece that you probably spent like a month on right here. Like, this is not as successful as these two. These two pieces are just like very, very sweet and quiet.
They're using more white, aren't they, too?
Yeah,
Just all around.
it
More
lights
negative space. Oh.
It's nice. Because when a viewer looks at an image, there needs to be an area for the eye to rest. We got rest here, we got some rest here, and rest, 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 and then we got action, sweeping up the pine needles. And then here, nowhere. There's nowhere to rest the eye. And that can be used in a picture book, but it has to be really well done. And I can't think of anybody off the top of my head who uses this to good effect. But I mean, it is a real art form to be able to do something that is this busy and have it be successful. It is very difficult to do. Whereas like this is so successful because I can rest my eye, and then you can really look at the technique that you're using in here and how sweet this little boy is sweeping up these pine needles and making these little paths. Like that's very thoughtful. It's very quiet and nice.
Yeah.
And I love this. You know,
Yeah.
it's really like, oh, it's pine forest. You can almost smell the pine in the air.
Yes, you can. Oh, yeah.
This has I mean, all it is a boy sweeping pine needles, but there is like a story here.
Yeah.
So I would love to see more face again. You know, definitely like think about like the character, and you know that you don't have to show faces all the time by any means, but if this is the only image that you're showing from the book, that is the finished image, as a, you know, like I would definitely be choosing something that shows more face.
Okay.
And it's not that you can't have a character that's facing away. You can totally have a character facing away, but if it's the image that you're choosing to show, try choosing ones that show faces, or else an art director will literally think you can't draw faces.
Yeah.
Because they're not clever. They're not as clever as people.
That's very good. This is your chance to say your thank yous to Marsha for staying late with her 9-month-old in the other room and giving you guys lots of TLC and wonderful, solid, craft-centered critique, a fabulous critique, Marsha.
Oh, thanks.
We were just so lucky to have you go through those pieces like that.
Well, thanks for having me, Mark, and thank you, everybody, for listening to me and my baby brain and barely being.
I didn't sense a baby brain. I sensed a pro at work, and you were really generous with us. You gave us a lot of great time, and thank you so much, guys, and thanks for hanging in there with us. We'll see you at the next one. We've got Annette Simon next month, September 10th. Mark your calendars. I'll put a new folder up for September, and then the replay with Marsha will be up tomorrow if you want to go back and fine-tune and listen carefully once again to Marsha's fabulous insights and critique. Marsha, thank you, and I'll say goodnight to you guys too, and till next time.
And thank you to everybody for being brave.
Oh yeah,
your work.
It takes lots of courage, lots of guts, and that's how we get better. These critiques are only meant to help, and I know you have that attitude about them as well.
Thank you,
Marsha. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much. And I'm going to stop the broadcast, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.